Welcome back in a TV. Arsenal North American TV just wrapped up some wrapping in the Wallington household, but today we have a very important video. We're going to go over Arteta's recent press conference, his 6-year tenure in charge so far. Wow, time flies. Then we'll go into some of the injury news that he relayed to the press, and then we'll finish off with why the next 6 games are so important for our club. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's get into Arteta's 6 years in charge. I mean, time really does fly. I remember when he first came to the club as a player, coming from Everton, and then eventually taking over for Arsene Wenger as a manager. It was a really interesting time because, you know, in all reality, us Arsenal fans were in turmoil. The club wasn't doing well. It was one of the worst times I remembered Arsene Wenger in charge, besides when he first came to the club, and I wasn't really sure whether or not Arteta would be able to turn things around, but he made things very clear right off the jump. He said, we need to transform and turn the Emirates back into how it used to be at Highbury. Obviously, you can't replicate the way it used to be because it's a whole different stadium and just everything was different with the Invincibles. But he said we need to change the aura. We need to get that energy back into the stadium. And after winning the FA Cup, the Community Shield twice, I can say from my perspective, he has done just that. Now, on the contrary, there's going to be a lot of people that say, okay, well, he hasn't really won any major trophies yet. And that's fine. But as one of the leading managers in the Premier League for the most consecutive games that he's managed, he's brought consistency to the club, and I think that is one of the biggest and most important things before you actually start to go on and win, just like Arsene Wenger did, just like Sir Alex Ferguson did at United. So we are at that time frame 6 years later where we do expect silverware. That's just the reality. With the amount of money invested in the team and finishing twice many years in a row, it is time that we win a major trophy, whether it be the Premier League, and then, you know, if the Champions League came along and we won it, it'd be the first time in our history, and that'd be amazing. But the Premier League really does take precedent in this situation. But 6 years has flown by, and I am somebody that has supported Arteta ever since the beginning, and I am happy that he is one of our own. As a Pep Guardiola protege, I wasn't entirely sure what we would get from him, but I always knew that he was Arsenal through and through as the previous captain. So I am so thankful that Arteta is our manager. Okay, so now let's switch gears a little bit after Arteta's press conference yesterday, and let's talk about some of the injury news updates. So looking ahead to Everton's game tomorrow, I'm in Canada, so it's going to be a little bit of an earlier match. The injury news is a mix of challenges, but there's also a little bit of encouraging news in there as well. So Ben White's definitely out with a hamstring injury, and he won't be back for a few games, meaning we'll need to manage defensively without him for now, but I'm somebody who doesn't prefer him starting right back anyways, so for me, I feel like it's not that big of a change for us, but we are going to have to manage that. Now looking at the big positives, Gabriel and Kai Havertz are close to returning. Gabriel has obviously been out for a while, but he has been doing pitch sessions, and it's not far off joining the squad again, and Havertz is progressing really well. So it's going to be interesting to see Havertz, Marino, and Gyökeres all come back at the same time and see who starts. I'm hoping it's Gyökeres, as I talked about in my previous video, so we'll see how that all works out, but I couldn't be any more thrilled that we're finally going to have all of our boys back. Alright, so let's look at some other players like Christian Mosquera and Max Daumann. They're still sidelined with respective ankle injuries. Zubimendi did miss training in the middle of the week, but it wasn't because of an injury, it was just load management, so we're all good there, and there's no real concerns. And finally, looking at our next 6 games in our schedule, starting with Everton tomorrow, this is a massive stretch of games for us, and it's impossible to ignore what happened last season. So from these exact fixtures last year, we took 0 points. Absolutely none. But it starts with Everton away, then we go to Crystal Palace at home, Brighton at home, Villa at home, and West Ham away. 5 games where, if I'm being honest, we should be taking the initiative and winning these games. If we don't get 15 points, I'll be very disappointed. But then the big one, it's Liverpool at home. That's the big one. For me, we should be going into this game looking to win it at the Emirates. Anything but a win, I'll feel very disappointed as well. The crowd, the momentum, everything is going to be there. But if it ends up being a draw, it's not the end of the world, but we do need to be looking to win this game if we want to be champions. So this entire run is about growth. Last year, like I said, we got nothing from these games. This year, this is where we prove we've learned, matured, and taken that next step. All right, Anna TV, Arsenal North America TV, thank you for watching. And this family is slowly growing week by week. I'll do another video after we play Everton. So let's get that win tomorrow, and we will chat very soon.